Okay, kids, you ready?
The Bandits Everywhere Podcast.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Bandits Everywhere Podcast. We're so excited to have you again. This is episode number 5. Thank you all for being here. Those of you watching on Spotify, on YouTube, on Facebook podcast, or wherever you are listening to us. Thank you for being here. Today we are with Elliot. Say hi, Elliot. Here's
Hi, Elliot.
he's Elliot. Cool. Yeah. So for those of you, if this is your first episode, if this is your first time on the Bandits Everywhere podcast, this is a weekly podcast where we are just that's talking about Bluey. We are fans of Bluey more than our kids most of the time. We just want to have meaningful and fun conversations. No right or wrongs, no judgments. We just want to talk about our lives, being dads, marriage, life in general. Just bend things out and then joke about them. And so we have Elliot here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Elliot, just to get started?
Yeah. So I am a computer science educator and father of 2 living in Houston, Texas. We've got our daughter, who's about 3.5 years old. Her name is Indy. We did not name her after the character from Bluey, but happy coincidence, I guess. And then our son's a little over a year old. His name is Mo.
Cool name.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Bluey a little, just to get things started. What will be your favorite episode from the series?
You know, I knew this question was coming and I still couldn't prepare for it. I was thinking beforehand, I think the easiest and most honest answer is to say just whatever the last episode I watched is. Because I feel like every time we watch it, I turn to my wife, Lauren, and I'm just like, that's a really good episode. But I think one recently, sorry to spoil season 3 a little bit for anyone who hasn't watched it yet, but there's an episode called Omelet in season 3 that's just, I keep coming back to it as like a good dad example of just including your kids and not getting frustrated with them that they don't really have all the skills that you have, and, you know, prioritizing making good memories over getting stuff done right and quick.
So you've told us your favorite episode. One thing I like to ask the guest is kind of a tricky question, but is your favorite Bluey or Bandit moment from your favorite episode, or do you have a favorite moment that just hooked and just, just resonates with you?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of stealing this from my wife, but she can't stop me. So I think one of the earlier episodes, and one where you both kind of knew, like, oh, this is not just a little kids show. This is something more. This is something we can really enjoy, was the Magic Claw episode when Bandit's having them sort of do chores to get money for his claw machine. And he's like, oh, yeah, the house is getting clean. And they're learning a lesson.
Are happening.
Exactly. Until neither of those things is happening. And even then, like at the end of the episode 2, when she asks if they learned anything, and the kids just, nope. And Bandit's like, yeah, these kids are awesome.
Yeah.
That's just, I just keep coming back to that. Like, our kids are awesome. I legitimately just really like our kids. So it's a good place to be.
A lot of things from that episode. That interaction between Chili and Bandit, like, cool, they're getting things done around the house, and none of that pretty much sums up my relationship with my wife. Like me thinking that everything is getting done, and none of that is happening. And like you said, that's one of the things I noticed too. That last line from Bandit is like he's saying he genuinely likes, not loves, likes their kids.
Yeah.
Because, there are some pretty dang difficult times with us being dads, some frustrating moments. But to say so honest that you enjoy being with them, that you actually like being with them. That's so true, so genuine. So that's one of the things, like you were saying, that's one of the things that sets this show apart. It's not just any show from kids, any kids show. This is, something else that resonates with us. That
Yeah, I really feel like the more I watch it, I'm like, is this really like a kid show that parents enjoy, or is this a parent show that kids enjoy? Like, it really, I feel like I learn a lot from it, and the whole joke about I'm not taking advice from a cartoon dog, but it's good advice. So
yeah, breaking the fourth wall, right?
yeah,
Sorry. Yeah, like we were talking about something like this with another guest, that he is kids book writer and an educator for preschoolers and stuff like that. That it's pretty amazing how they make the show appealing to dads and to kids at the same time. Because he was talking about some media that either it's boring to the kids but fun to the dads, or the other extreme, something like Bleepy or something.
yeah.
It's just like, yeah, the kids love them, but I mean, it's pretty weird, that guy. But it's pretty fun to do that without resorting to the, how do I put it, to the dark jokes that only that gets, like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Or I mean, The Simpsons is not for kids, but something like that, that jokes for adults that kids don't get. I mean,
Yeah.
they rarely do that.
Yeah, it's definitely nice that even the parent jokes aren't like dirty, sneaking something past the kids. It's just something that parents will resonate with and get in a way the kids won't necessarily.
Yeah, but they have certainly more than that to get us involved. I mean, the part where Chili is frustrated in regards to her being a good mom, and then I forgot her name, the pink poodle.
I could have told you Gednass. It's not
Yeah,
Wendy. It's Coco's mom.
Yeah,
I don't remember
that's right,
Jasmine
that's
or
right.
not. Yeah.
And then when Coco's mom shows her that she has 8 kids, and then she tells her that you're doing a good job. I mean, I the first time I saw that part, I actually cried, because I was
Yeah.
in a bad day. These days when you wake up and you say, or your kids say something and you go like, "Yeah, I'm the best dad ever," and then other days you wake up and just, I'm just a piece of crap. I was in one of those days, and a cartoon dog telling me that I'm doing a good job. It was a pretty deep moment.
Yeah. I even really like during that scene, the camera points out to the audience. It's specifically shot so that she really is telling you you're doing a good job, and it might feel silly, but like somebody telling you that's always really
I felt that. I mean, I
reassuring.
actually felt that, and like we have said this a couple of times on the show, but for us, that's, I mean, this is a dad podcast, so uh, for us, that's the fact that you are watching a cartoon dog that has a lot of research behind. Like, I'm pretty sure some psychologists, some child psychologists are behind it, some of the things on the
Must be.
show. Or yeah, I guess gotta be. um so a bunch of people that know what they're doing think that that guy is a good dad, and we see ourselves there, and we enjoy being watching what he
Yeah.
does, and we take advice from a cartoon dog like that. I mean, it means that we are actually doing a good job. So there are some days that we feel that we are not actually doing that good of a job being an ads, but if we're trying to get better and improve, like doing whatever, like actually watching this podcast and trying to catch some good advice from the other dads, and watching Bluey, watching Bandit, just to, you know get some advice from that show, it goes to show that you are a good dad. So
Yeah, I feel like just like trying and loving your kids and liking your kids is half the battle at least. Just
that's right,
really
that's right.
trying to show up and be present as much as you can. So
Yeah, that's right. And it, like we said at the beginning of the conversation, it's being a dad means 80% of the time being tired.
Yeah,
And
at least.
yeah, like you and me have, I mean, I'm almost the other on the other side, but having babies, it's equals to, no sleeping. It's it's difficult to have a good sleep or something like that. So being that is pretty tired. It's being tired half of the time. And we were talking, for example, the with other guests, that that part of the day when you are tired from work or whatever, and the kids always have energy and they always want to play, they always like upon you and doing some stuff. So that's a pretty difficult day of part of the day. Like
Yeah.
you wanna, because you actually want to play with them, you actually want to be with them, but I mean, your body says other thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there have definitely been times where I'm like, I'm gonna hang out with the kids, we're gonna roll around and wrestle on the floor. Then I get down on the floor and it's like, well, I'm kind of down here already. Maybe I just take a little snooze. They won't notice. It'll be fine. So I get that.
just just resting my eyes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a thing that pretty much all the dads that I have on the show, it's, you can relate to that. I mean, like I said before, I mean, I can visibly tell you that you are pretty tired from the day, and I guess you still have some time with your kids right now. I mean, even just to get them to go to bed, that's a struggle.
Yeah. The bedtime routine for us is definitely it keeps getting longer. And part of that I think is that it's like, oh, I'm not ready to let them go to bed yet. And so like, it used to be like, oh, we read one book and then we put her down. And now it's like, okay, well, read a book, then we watch this little video, watch this video, and now we've got Bluey worked into that rotation. And so it ends up being about a 2 hour long process from start to finish, which on the one hand, it stinks that we start trying to put them down at 10 or at 8. And it's like, well, I know I'm not getting to sleep until at least 10. But on the other hand, I know I've got those 2 solid hours with me, my wife, both our kids, all in our bed, just snuggling, talking, watching videos, and it's really special.
Yeah, for us, that's the usual thing as you described it. But there are some days that one of our girls had a nap during the day, and that makes it even harder, the bedtime. One time, the middle one, no, who was it? Yeah, the middle one. She's 3 years old. She had a nap like 2 p.m., 3 p.m., something like that. We had her on our bed until 12, until midnight. We couldn't. I mean, me and my wife we were, half asleep, and she was still full of energy. It happened one time. But it was pretty difficult.
Yeah, there's really just there's no algorithm I have figured out as to like how to get a kid tired, because if they nap, they're up all night. If they don't nap, then maybe they're up all night. Like there's no system to it. And like, especially when they're younger, like our son, he didn't take a nap the other day for whatever reason. We kept trying to put him down, he just wasn't having it. And so then at night he's just like so tired but mad about it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just gonna scream for a while. I don't know what else to do. And it's like, just go to sleep. We all want you to go to sleep right now. You want you to go to sleep. Just do it.
I know. My oldest one, when he was like a little baby, like less than 18 months, I guess. I used to say that. I mean, I used to say, I get to one formula to get him to sleep quick, but the next day it just won't work.
Yeah.
I mean, I have like swing or rock him like this or something like that, and the next day won't work at all. It's just another completely different thing that I had to do. And then my middle one, the 3-year-old, when she was a baby, I mean, she used to cry at bedtime like for 1 hour, 1 hour and a half until she was just so tired, and that was like every freaking day. It was difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Like, and the worst part for me is like, I know that we've been really fortunate with our kids. Like, they've been relatively good sleepers, although our son still isn't sleeping through the night, which is not fun for anybody. But like, they've been relatively just easy kids. I don't want to say good or bad, but just easier. And it's still so exhausting. So, more power to the people out there with more kids or more difficult kids. But I'm glad that ours is this easy. Clearly, we couldn't handle anything more difficult.
Yeah,
As tired as we are already, but yeah,
we have 1 out of 3. Our oldest one, ever since he got like 3 months old. No, no, I mean, I don't know, but pretty young. We wrestled to get him down, but when he was asleep, he used to sleep the whole night, and that
yeah,
was a good thing from a very young age. He did that. But the other two, oh man, I mean, my little one is 2 years old, and she still to this day wakes up in the night. But now that she walks and everything, she just gets out of her bed and crawls into ours.
yeah.
That happens so often. Actually, when we wake up, me and my wife, and we don't see her in our bed, it's like, what's wrong? What's
Get a
wrong
little
with her?
concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, the two girls, they are not that good of a sleepers, but yeah, at least we have one that sleeps through the night from a very young
yeah.
age.
That was sort of similar to our situation. Our daughter, yeah, honestly, probably like 3 or 4 months. And it was funny. I guess in a sense, not funny at the time, but my wife had really difficult pregnancies both times. Just like nauseous the entire 9 months, and
Mm.
so she just had not been sleeping well all through the pregnancy. And of course, everyone feels the need to make that joke, like, "Oh, your daughter's about to be born. Guess you're not going to be sleeping for a while." And because Indy was such a good sleeper, we're like, "Dude, you're sleeping better than we have slept in a year. Like, this is great. we love we love now that she's out because she just goes down and she would sleep. I mean, we probably get her down at 10. She'd sleep till like noon the next day. It was great. And now with this one, again, it's still really not all that bad, but it's just he's not as interested in sleeping through the night. So
Yeah, yeah, that's. I mean, each kid is different, and
yeah,
now that you're mentioning, sorry, okay, give me a second. Now that you're mentioning the pregnancy part, you can actually see some of the personalities from the baby. I mean, this is completely out of science,
yeah,
but I mean, the middle one, my 3-year-old girl, we like to say that she's our present because the pregnancy part, my wife says that it was so easy. Everything was like perfect. The actual born the day that she was born, it was so easy. I mean, there were not much of pains or anything. I like to say that she was just about to deliver, and she went like, "Oh, she's out,"
that must be
and
nice.
and her personality is very much like that. I mean, she's always easy to do a lot of things. From the three of them, she's the one that does less. It's not tantrums, but cries less now. She
Yeah,
used to cry when she was a baby, but now she's very easy. And the other two, our little baby and our oldest, are very similar, and the pregnancies were a little more difficult, and their personalities are pretty much like that. So I
yeah,
mean, this is no science thing. I mean, but you can actually see some of the personalities through the
yeah.
pregnancy part.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about like easy deliveries. So our first was not an emergency C-section, but an unexpected one. She was a couple days past due, which I know is pretty normal. And it's funny, I was joking with my wife. It was a Monday morning, and she was due on a Friday and didn't come all weekend. I said, now would be a great time. Like, I don't really want to go into work today. If you could just. But she said no. And so I took a shower. And while I was in the shower, she said, okay, I think my water broke. I said, yes, get out of work. So we went to the hospital and they did an ultrasound, and her water had not broken, but we found out that the baby was almost 10 pounds and breech. And it's like, well, guess we're doing this the hard way. So I had that happen. And yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think back now and see how much of her personality I could see through the process.
Yeah.
Definitely. She's got high highs and low lows. I'll put it that way. So.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
And our baby girl, we almost had something like that going on, because the day that she was born, she was like, I don't know how you say this in English, but you see when the baby's the head is down,
Okay.
pointing down, her head was horizontal to the body of my wife, like this.
Oh yeah, that's no fun.
And so the doctor actually just moved her on my wife's belly and said, like, if this doesn't work on first time, we're gonna have to open and do a C-section. And my wife's, oh man, I don't know what they're called in English, plaquettes. Is that a word? White
Like
cells.
platelets, I think.
Yeah, that
Okay.
exactly that.
Yeah, I could be wrong. You may well. No idea.
Well, the thing on your blood that keeps from bleeding out when
Okay,
you, yeah. So my wife had a pretty low count on those things, and they were like, if we cut you open, you might bleed a lot, and we're gonna have a lot of problems. So the doctor was like, if I can do this, we're gonna have to take risks and get the baby out, because she is running out of liquid inside. So yeah, whatever. And she managed to, put the baby down in the position, and it was, everything went well, all was good, but we had a pretty good scare that day. But yeah,
that's rough. It's funny, not to try and change the tone a lot, but I was just remembering that during my wife's C-section, I'll avoid getting graphic at all, but there's a lot of blood involved in that. And so I was sitting at her head and watching the process, and they'd grab these towels and they'd put them near the incision and pull them out like a second later, and they'd gone from white to just completely red. And it turns out that I do not handle blood very well. And so
I just figured out that at that moment, right?
Yeah, I learned that the real hard way. And so there were 6 medical professionals in the room, and there was, at one point, 3 of them were assisting me. The other 3 were there. They're like, you got to lay down. I was like, I'm not going to miss the birth. Like, if I hear a baby sound, I'm getting up. And they're like, well, if you pass out, we'll figure it out when we get there. But I'm not going to miss this birth. So I spent about probably 10 minutes. They made me like lay down on the floor during the delivery. So
yeah, the nurse on one of our deliveries, one of our kids told us a story about the kid was being born of this marriage, I don't know where, and the husband, the dad, actually passed out, and when he fell down, he opened the head like really big. So they had to put all the nurses on the delivery just to get him and stitch the. Yeah, I mean, I was on the 3 of them, and I don't know. In the first one, I remember I had a camera in my hand, and I was also on the head, I mean, I wasn't on the graphic part of the
Yeah.
delivery, and I didn't. When you see the recording, it's just the floor or the ceiling, or
Yeah.
I mean, I was so impressed by the things that was going on, and then the doctors. And oh, I remember something. When my kid was born, this pediatrician was, you know how I don't know if in the states are the same way, but pediatricians when kids are born in Mexico, they tend to be a little funny, a little goofy, or something like
Sounds
that.
normal. Yeah.
Yes, just to get the mood uh, of the dads mainly. And so when my kid was born and they cut the umbilical cord, he grabbed like a 30 centimeters piece of that and wrapped around my finger on it and pulled, and just it was like, you see how hard this thing is, and it actually hurt. And
Yeah.
he whipped me with my shoulder with that thing.
Yeah. I remember that's one of those like little things that they don't warn you about, but I cut the cord, and it's obviously a very symbolic gesture because they like cut the cord and then there's a little bit left and they're like, oh, you can cut the cord now. It's like
Yeah.
it's like I'm a kid and they're like, oh yeah, thanks for helping me with the engine. I know what's going on. But all that to say, like, it was tough to cut. Like
Yeah, it's spongy.
they didn't warn me about that. Yeah, it's just real spongy and moving out of the way and slippery, and yeah, it was harder than I expected. But
Yeah, I did got the actual. I mean, they had the baby here, and they put this little tweezers or something like that
oh yeah, like the
on both
clamps.
ends. Yeah, the clamps. And I actually got that, and I thought the scissors weren't sharp enough because I was like cutting
Yeah.
a couple of times. But I think that's how it is. I mean, it's. I imagine this is a little weird, but I imagine it's like cutting a finger without bones.
Yeah, sounds about right. Not that I've ever done that, but
Yeah, me neither.
That's
But, but yeah, it's pretty weird, and the thing that he did, the pediatrician with that whipped me and just grabbed my finger, but I mean, I do remember that, and that got me to get that recording in my head pretty strong. So I guess that was a good thing.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I remember as soon as our baby was out, and she was already a fighter. Like, she came out feet first and was just like kicking all the nurses trying to pull her out. But it's just one of those things. Again, like that moment you remember. As soon as I saw her, I remember being like, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like all the blood rushing to my head or what. And then my wife was like, yeah, okay. And looking back at pictures now, she's cutened up a lot since then. But
Yeah.
she's just this. She's beautiful in like the transcendent sense, but she was kind of gross looking, squishy purple baby. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
what are
yeah.
you gonna do?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't look very good if I'd been floating around in fluids for almost a year. So.
Yeah. This the baby girl that was on the wrong position. We were already nervous when she was born because my wife's blood and the baby was on the wrong position and all that. And the doctor actually was like, "Let's get into the room like quickly. Like she needs to go now." So we were like kind of nervous. The pediatrician for that delivery wasn't there yet, so it was a pretty chaotic moment. And I remember something that the first time I saw her, like you were saying, I was, so nervous about that. And when she was born and the doctor lifted the baby up, I see a finger just dangling around, like, and I was like, oh my god! I mean, she broke one. I mean, she was born with a broken finger or something. And then the doctor says, no, it's just an extra finger. She had an extra finger there. And that was the closest part of all the deliveries that I was about to pass out. And then she goes, but look at her feet. She was born with an extra pinky on her feet and
Oh wow.
on both feet foot. So that was a pretty strange day. and
Yeah.
all my thoughts were on everything is okay, not so much on like, wow, she's so beautiful. I mean, I was like, she's okay, okay, we made it.
Yeah.
My wife's okay, everything's good. So, but I remember like if it was yesterday, the little, it wasn't a finger, so much of a finger, it was like this little like tube hanging around, and
Uh,
with something like a grape, small grape in there. But I mean, the doctors removed it
yeah.
like 3 months in, but I mean, it was memorable. It
Yeah,
was, it
for
was a
sure.
nice day.
Yeah, I remember like again, my parents joking like, well, as long as it come out 10 fingers, 10 toes. I was like, dude, I don't care how many toes or fingers she has when she comes out. Like it's my daughter.
I
But
can say that.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Just had a couple bonus limb or appendages. That's okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the yeah, exactly. I mean, they are okay. They are. That was 2 years ago, and we're being good. So I don't care how many fingers, how many toes.
Yeah.
We're good. We have her here. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, I remember it. I would like to ask you for a story about you being a dad. Something funny that maybe had happened to you with your kids or something like that.
Yeah. So actually that's a thing that kind of popped in my head that I wanted to share real quick. So one cool thing that we've gotten from not just from Bluey, but from the Facebook group that you and I are in, there's actually a guy whose family he posted in there a while back and said they were moving to Houston. And I was like, oh hey, we're in Houston. We should hang out. And so we've gotten to hang out with him a few times now. It's been really cool.
Cool.
He's got a son a little bit older than our daughter and a daughter a little younger than our son. So good age ranges to hang out and play with. And it's like, I mean, I see people posting there all the time about just how it's the most positive group we're in. Like there are a
Yeah.
lot of Facebook groups that if there was someone in the area, I'd be like, I am not going to tell them I live here. But in that group, it's been really fun. But in terms of a story, one that popped in my mind. So part of sort of my history, my wife and I, we worked in ministry for a long time, but just financially, as kids were coming, that was not really working out well. And so I did. I don't. I don't know how familiar this concept is with everyone, I guess, but a coding boot camp. And so it was like 6 months of, I think it was 10 hours of class and 20 hours of homework a week on top of the full-time job I was working. And so that was like 6 of the worst months of my life. It was just, our daughter had just turned a year old when I started, or was about to turn a year old. And I would like leave for work at 7 in the morning and then get home at 10 o'clock at night and just be exhausted, extra exhausted. And, but just the cool thing for me, I can't say for sure when exactly this started, but somewhere throughout the process, my daughter was learning to walk and talk. And so it got by the end of that 6 months, whenever I got home, she would hear me open the door from the garage to the house. And she would just, whatever she was doing before that, she would stop and just turn to the door and, Dada! And like run over with her cute little wobbly little baby run and just be so excited to see me. And it was just really affirming every time that happened. Like, you're the reason I'm doing this. I want to provide for us, and to have her just show that excitement. Obviously, she doesn't understand daddy's going to work and school and is super tired, but seeing the joy on her face whenever I got home after a long day, that really helped me get through it. And now I've got a job that I love and taking care of things. So
Yeah, that's a pretty strong feeling, and it's a pretty strong motivation for do the things that we do as dads, because it's not always easy. I mean, I have had jobs where I have to be out of the house for really long periods of time, and I worked for a university one time that I needed to travel a lot of times and a lot of days out. And yeah, I remember that feeling. Or when you're out and they call.
Mm,
And I remember the first time I had to go on a trip after being dad. He was like, what was it, like 1 year old, one something year old. I've never been that long without them for this
yeah.
trip. So I remember I used to, I got so close to him when he was a baby that I was the one getting up at nights like 60% of the times to feed him with a bottle. And I used to have this way of getting him sort of, because didn't work every time, but the most working thing it was like I would sit him on my or one of my legs and just bounce him up and down like this, and she would go to sleep like that. Um, when I was at this trip, I remember like subconsciously started to wiggle my leg like that, and I was feeling weird that the weight of the little baby wasn't there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then getting back home and see their reaction, like you were saying, yeah, it's the best thing that can ever happen to a man.
Yeah. I remember especially like really early on with our first, all the time, even if we weren't holding her, like I'd be like playing video games and I'd realize I was holding my controller and kind of rocking back and forth
Yeah.
gently. It's like, wait, what? But yeah, definitely familiar with that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, uh, I think something similar happened to me right now. I work at home all the time, and I've been doing that for the past 3 years, I think, something like that. And it's it's I think it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing that happened because I'm here, and throughout the morning and the day they are at school, but the rest of the day, I mean, as I'm still working, but they just hang around, and I mean, they get to see their dad, and I'm working, but you know, and I think that's something similar that happened to you. I mean, you are working at there's some days of the week at home,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's working from home. It's a blessing, so you get to be with them
Yeah,
sometime.
definitely. Because for me, working from home started with COVID, as it did for a lot of people, and you know, by no means do I want to minimize all the hard parts of COVID, but that has been a blessing. Like, and even in our house, I've got an office, and it's right beside the kids' playroom, and so there's certainly downsides when you've got kids screaming and you're trying to
Yeah.
talk about KPIs and deliverables and all that, but at the same time, it's just really nice to be able to glance over. I'm looking right now at it. The door has little windows, and so just see like my son just pop his hands on it and looking at
Yeah.
me and just be like, okay.
Talking
So
about
it's
that,
great.
speaking about that, I think they have arrived. Can you give me 2 seconds to open the door and get them in?
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Pues yo estaba ahí cuando lo abriste. Punchy, 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 punch, punch, punch. Yeah, that life.
Yeah.
They're here.
Yeah. I remember one time I had a meeting and like my wife wasn't feeling well, so we just had my daughter in the playroom. I was like, keep an eye on her, but hopefully she'll just entertain herself. And she just had to be on camera. But it ended up being really cool because the person I was meeting with, was really understanding. Had kind of a moment of like, this is the world we live in now. You know, like it is what it is.
Yeah, like we were saying on the Facebook group, if the kids were in the call, I mean, this is a dad podcast.
Yeah.
So
Papi.
this is happening. Oh,
Papi.
she goes off.
Mira.
Yeah, he wants to show me his new toy right there.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Ahorita juego contigo, ¿sí? Un segundo. Yeah. So this is a dad podcast. These things happen.
Yeah, I remember however many years ago it was the clip that kind of went viral. The news reporter talking about, I think it was like something really serious in North Korea, and then like his kid just kind of bebops into the room, and like at the time everyone's like, "Oh, that's most people just thought it was funny, but some people were still like, oh, so unprofessional." And now that's just like everyone 100% of the time. I think that's just the way it is. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you have kids, I mean, you can stop them. You can stop them.
Yeah. Kids will never quite understand daddy is in a meeting. You can't come. And that's part of the charm.
That's right. Yeah, like I said, if your kids were in the call, I wouldn't mind. And I was telling my wife, the dads listening to this podcast are so used to hear kids yelling in the background. I'm sure they won't even notice that.
Yeah. I almost feel bad for having them not yelling in the background.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's our life now. That's how we do it. That's how I work. How do I explain this? I work with some people from Argentina a lot of times. You see, you know how they have a different Spanish accent as the Mexican Spanish. So that little guy there, now and then would pop up on the call and imitates their accent. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, but they were laughing about it. So, whew.
Yeah. Again, there's just no knowing what a kid's gonna do, and there's no controlling it. Yeah. I think the worst we've got is that our daughter keeps calling her little brother a cheeky little baby, which who knows where she learned that word from. But
yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Say hi.
Hi.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
¿What? ¿Escuchaste?
¿Cómo estás?
Bien.
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 Mira.
Muy bien.
Nice Spanish.
Thanks. That's about all I've got. But I'm so bad at I like learning other languages, but actually speaking them, it's just really stressful.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way as we do with English. A lot of people here in Mexico are like, yeah, I understand things, but I can't speak. I mean, it's just they're being shy, because what I see a lot of people from the States is like they're not ashamed to mess up the language. You just do it. That's a cool thing. I mean,
yeah, I wish I was that way. Like, I know it's fine, but I just can't bring I guess I'm just a perfectionist. So.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that, and a lot of friends I have from the US are like, as long as you understand what I'm trying to say, I don't. It doesn't matter if it's not grammatically correct or anything. I mean, my English is not perfect either. And I'm hosting a podcast, so I don't mind messing up the language. So I don't care.
Yeah. I've always liked the idea of raising our kids bilingual, but neither of us are really. So my wife's a lot better in Spanish and Arabic than me. But
Yeah.
Neither one of us is conversational. So.
We were trying to teach him English when he was little,
English.
but but it was slowing him down. And we were trying to teach him sign language,
Prime.
Spanish, and English,
Yeah.
and he didn't speak any of those three things. So we paused that, and we just
Yeah.
taught him.
Just get him started with something and go from there.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty good.
My friend.
Yeah, he's pretty good in English, but when he
English.
when he tries to have a conversation with someone that doesn't speak English, he was just like do some random words like he's trying.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so that's happening. Yeah, and cool. It's close to an hour.
It's about time for me to start that 2-hour routine. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna let you go now. Thank you so much for being here on such short notice.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. Thanks.
Yeah, I know you still have a lot of things to do. The bedtime routine, I have to do that too. And thank you so much for being here. It was a really fun conversation. I know it usually runs a little better, a little more smooth when you have time to prepare yourself and we have a conversation prior to this. But it is what it is. Thank you everyone for tuning in for episode number 5 of the Bandits Everywhere podcast. Please go and share the podcast if you like it. Go and like the Biscuits Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm not good at announcing social media, but like, share, comment, whatever influencers say. Ring the bell, whatever.
Yeah.
And
I don't even know what that means. I'm too old for this.
Yeah, me too. Whatever. I mean, I feel kind of ridiculous saying subscribe and share, but we actually need you guys to subscribe. We actually need you guys to share the podcast. It's growing pretty slowly, but I don't care. I'm having fun. I'm having fun with these conversations. Yeah. One pretty important thing is we have some T-shirts, we have some mugs, we have some merch that we have on there on the Facebook page. Go ahead and do that to support this podcast. We have some pretty big plans for this. There's a lot of things we want to do with this podcast, but first we need your help to, like, share, comment, and help us make this your platform, Bandits Everywhere. This is a platform for you, just to talk whatever you want. So we kind of need your help on that. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Elliot, for being here.
Have a good day, everyone.
Take care. See you guys.